Hello everybody and welcome to Gregg's Vintage Workshop, where I'm working to restore history one piece at a time. I've been out of the workshop for quite some time actually. As some of you may know from one of my earlier videos, I was down in North Carolina where I had a house down there. I sold that house and I had to go back down there. I was down there for about 2 months and worked on that, getting it ready to sell, and then I came back for about, I don't know, 2 weeks. And then I had to go back down for another week or so, and I'm back now in the workshop. So I got to get started on that Philco 41105 farm radio. So tonight's going to be part 4 of the Philco 41105 farm radio, where I will start the electrical restoration. Now it's a fairly short video, because it's been so long since I've gotten anything out to you guys. I wanted to get something out to you. So this will be a short part 4, but I think it'll be a good one. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so this is the little output transformer that I rewound for this farm radio. When I got it all finished, originally I had a short from a high winding to the actual one of these E-plates. I was pretty upset, thought I was going to really have to take everything apart, but as it turned out, I only had to pull a couple of E-plates, and it somehow just managed to make contact with one of the wires just right. So I got in there and I put some more Kapton tape in there to get a good isolation in there, and now it's good. So now we're going to check it. I'm going to set it down here and I'll check it with this meter. And so the yellows are the primary on this output transformer, and I think we're about, should be about 800 ohms, 835 ohms. If I take each one to the center tap, which I believe this is a center tap, we got 381 on that one. Come over here, we've got 454, so yeah, it's not real even, but I know on the one side I probably got a little bit more winding than the other, but I think it's going to be good enough. I hope so anyway. And then if I go to the secondary winding, or the one side connects to the actual chassis frame, and go to the other one, we have 0.55 ohm, 0.454, and then I'll go from each of these others to it. So here's to the center tap, it's clean. To the primary, it's clean, and to this primary, it's clean. And then if I go to the actual frame, from each of these, go to the frame, clean, and let's see. So there's the frame, there's the primary to frame, secondary to frame, everything's clean. So I think we're good to go. So we will go ahead and get it back into this, and then I'm going to dip it in beeswax. As you remember, it was all sealed in wax, and that'll seal it up better. That's why I wasn't super intent on getting a lot of Kapton tape in there, but I did, and I'm going to still seal it in the beeswax, and we'll come back. Okay, getting ready to dip this in the hot wax. This beeswax is all it is, and hopefully this will work out. So I'd take it all the way down in there, and I'll clean off the wax on the metal portions, but that way it gets down and around the E-plates and core plates and everything else. I'll just set it right here for now. That's where I set it, and we'll check it out after it's had time to set up. I may dip it a couple more times. Okay, so there it is, all done. It turned out okay. I mean, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but it wasn't beautiful when it was black and tar either. So I'm going to go stick it in the radio chassis, and we'll start getting this thing put back together again. I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, so we're going to be working on this area right here. This is right here is where the transformer wires come through. I got to put the screws back in from the front side, top side, from the top side, here and here, and feed the wires up through here. But I think I'm going to find a rubber grommet that'll fit that hole. It didn't have one originally, so probably really don't even need it, but I like to try and overkill stuff. That's, unfortunately, it's one of my personality flaws. I think I'm going to go with this size here. See if we can get that in the hole, maybe, without rotating this out of screen. Let's see if we can get this this in here. Put a little personal lubricant on it there. Those of you who've been in the hobby for a while know what I'm talking about. Let's see if we can get that in there. And if we can get the wires feed through it. Yeah, I think we got it. A little bit of a, there we go. There we go. Perfect. Perfect fit. Now, I'll go get the transformer. See if I can find the screws. It's only been about 3 months since I had this out. Hopefully I put the screws where I can find them. I'll be right back. Well, the bad news is that I couldn't find the screws. Found all the other screws, but I couldn't find those 2 screws. Good news is I found 2 more that should have been pretty accurate for what it was. Straight head screw. Got them in there. You can see it from this side here. You can see my nuts from this side here. Here's the wires. I just double checked everything. Everything's still copacetic. Here's the black wire for the speaker right here. So next step will be to get these put in, and I'm going to work on my aim switch, and we'll get that in and see what we can do as far as getting it wired, and that'll be next. So I got my switch here all cleaned up and good from before. I think I did this before, but it had this style nut on it that I absolutely despise, so I'm going to replace that with a normal nut that would be used on a switcher pot like this, and it's going to go right in there like that. Now I'm thinking I might want to put a lock washer on there, but a lot of times when I've seen these in old radios, they haven't had lock washers. They just sit there. I may or may not. If I've got one here, I may put it in there. And I'm having a hard time getting the nut to even start. And I know it was on there because I just had it on there, so just a matter of me getting my tongue right, apparently. There it goes. So get that on there, we'll get that wired in at the same time I'm wiring the transformer. I haven't hooked the transformer wires up yet. I was trying to get everything that's in that vicinity. Ow. Just put my finger on my solder sucker that was plugged in. Now look here, I may have a lock washer I could put on that. It's a modern potentiometer lock washer. That should work. Yep, that'll work great. Tighten that on down and we'll get it wired in. Okay guys, I haven't been showing you guys a whole lot here, putting this together and making these updates and electrical restoration on this, and I apologize for that, but it's like when I get down in here and I'm having to work under my magnifier and all this, it's just hard to just keep stopping to do it. So I'm trying to bring you back after I get some stuff done. Now what you see here is basically the output section of the radio. If we were to look at it from a schematic standpoint, what I've tried to do is basically highlight as I go what I have completed. And so if we look at this, down here is where our power supply wire, the power supply, alright, that I made, is where it's coming in at. And if we work our way up here, this is where we're getting into the two 1A5G tubes, which is this one and this one, and then the 1H5G tube there, here. So we're working on this section here. Of course, this is the output transformer, which I installed, and it's all wired into the 1A5s as it should be, and it has a 750 mmF mica cap right here between the two. That's this cap right here, and then we have our 10K resistors and our 2.2 ohm resistor, 2.2 meg ohm resistors. Now these were almost all checking out of tolerance. I decided I was just going to shotgun it and replace them all anyway. So that's where I've been going with all this. Pretty much I've got it all highlighted on here, whatever all the tolerances are, so I can check them, and we're just putting it in there. Now the original pot, volume pot, is bad. This is it, and I've actually ordered one. It's a 2 meg pot with a 1 meg tap, as shown right here. If I got you on the screen, I can't see if I do or not. I think I do. Here's the pot, here's the tap, and I couldn't find one that had the 1 meg tap, and I had sent an email to Mark Opot back in July, before I had to do all the stuff in North Carolina with my house, and I never got a response from him. So I went ahead and last week ordered a 2 meg pot with no tap, and based on some conversation I had with Bob as well as some forums, people have just been leaving that off, so they can't tell much difference. That said, last week I had left a voicemail message from Mark Opot, and last night I got an email back from him that he was really sorry he'd missed my email in July, and yes, he can make it. And so I went ahead this morning and ordered a 2 meg pot with a 1 meg tap, so I can go ahead and put it back the way it is on this schematic here. And so I think that that'll be better, but that'll also slow me down as far as being able to complete this section. So I'll be going on past that and we'll come back to it. Somebody's been in here and worked on this radio at some point in time. I'm putting it back per the schematic. Some of the stuff in here is not correct per the schematic. This is obviously a new electrolytic in here that does not match up. This is a 10 microfarad and this is a 20 microfarad. But also I noted that some of the wiring, the way it shows in the schematic, is not correct in the radio. And so I don't know if somebody made some changes in this radio because of the issues it was having, but I'm putting it back per the schematic. I've already changed some of the wiring. This wire I haven't changed yet. This is the grid wire here that, as you can see, I still don't have it marked yet because that'll go to the volume pot. This stuff here goes to the volume pot. That also comes down here and goes on the 1H5 tube. But until I actually have the volume pot, I won't be putting that stuff in. I ran all of the rubber wires rotten. That wire will get replaced. This wire is already replaced. Right here it's not connected, you can see, because it's already replaced down here. I left it connected on the other end because I don't like to get too many things disconnected, but as I get over here further than that, it'll get connected up. I got a new wire here going to the second IF transformer, and and this wire will get replaced too. But that's where we're at. I actually have ordered some new wiring, so I won't have to keep painting this wire. It's 600 volt rated silicone sleeved wire, and I don't like using that in these old radios, but it was much cheaper. I was looking to buy some pushback wire, and I found an outfit that had it, but it's like $32 a roll for 50 foot, and I need multiple colors, and I didn't feel like spending $200. So anyway, I'm going to just have to get over it. This is actually silicone coated wire here, and it works just fine, so that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, I wanted to get this piece of this video shot for you because I want to get a video out to you guys. I haven't had an update on this radio for a bit. So I think with this video, I'm going to end this particular one, and then we'll pick it back up in the next video. We'll be moving forward across in the radio and hopefully get to the point where we're on the switch, which is, if I can get you over there to see it, this switch right here is going to be a nightmare because it's going to be very terrible, but we'll get it. So anyway, from Greg at Gregg's Vintage Workshop, thanks for watching.